than Bernie Mac, actually.
I believe you're right, and then I had a good customer for this great expensive bourbon. He used to come in and buy it, and he died. Sean Penn's brother. He was overweight anyway, but he'd taken some prescription medications with some cold antihistamines or something and chased it with some Booker's bourbon, and he didn't wake up. His name was Christopher Penn.
Yeah, stuff, guys die like that, you know, the Xanax and alcohol is another bad combo. Well, you don't like anything like that.
Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, the prescription drugs, and I mean, it was just a bad combination. I mean, this guy liked this Booker's bourbon, and it's 120. It runs between 126 and 128. It's 128 proof uncut barrel bourbon. It's just like right out of the barrel. They don't cut it or do anything, and they hand bottle it. And I had a doctor up on Chalone that used to buy it by the case, or 2 cases. They come 6 bottles in a case. It's expensive. It's like $70 a bottle, and I used to have to take it to him. I was up there one day, around 92, I guess. I went up there. I drove up on my Mustang before work, and I took him 2 cases, and he said, would you have a shot with me? And I said, I can't, I'm working. And he called Fred up, and Fred says, of course you can have a shot. He gave me about 4 ounces in a glass, and I mean, I didn't think I was going to be able to make it back to the store. I was really singing.
Yeah, that's like, what, 3 shots? That's strong stuff, man. I used to drink 151. That used to be my first drink, is take a shot of that before you start really do your drinking.
Yep. Anyway, that stuff will set you free. But it's really good, but it just, I mean, just 2 or 3 shots of that, and you're probably finished for the day. That's like taking like 5 shots of regular bourbon. That would be that's like drinking more than half a pint.
Yeah, even if you had a big meal, you'd definitely feel it.
Well, as skinny as I was at the time, man, probably 160 pounds, I think 4 ounces of that probably would have made me, well, back then the legal limit was 0.10 or something. But anyway, that probably would have had me between 0.08 and 0.10, just that little bit, because I hadn't had lunch that day.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You'd definitely be juiced, even by the old-time standards. That's a lot of liquor.
I took some stuff to a frat house, and they had this, it was a 3-story house, and they had this waterfall of this red, looked like fruit punch coming down, and you could just stick your cup out there and grab it, and it would fall into a plastic pool, and then they'd pump it back upstairs again through a pump. And I put my cup in there, and I got about 8 ounces of this, and I drank it, and it was really, really, it was made with Hawaiian punch and all this other stuff. There was no fruit in it. The guy told me that we can't use fruit because fruit will clog the pump up, but I went to get another glass of it, and the guy said, you really need to take it easy with that stuff. I said, what's in it? And he says, Hawaiian punch, there's some ginger ale, and the rest, he says, is mostly Everclear and Bacardi 151.
Oh, my God. Boy, that's college for you. God, I bet that tasted horrible, too. It's nothing but corn syrup and red food coloring.
Oh, it was delicious. It tasted just like Hawaiian punch. I could not even taste the alcohol in it. And they were hoping to get the girls zapped with that. But, yeah, I'd had like 2 cups of it, and I was going to get another one, and the guy said, you better he says, are you driving? I said, yeah. And he says, well, you know, I wouldn't do that. He says, there's a lot of alcohol in here. And I said, you can't taste it. And he says, you're not supposed to taste it. He says, it's got Everclear and 151 in it. So anyway, I took him for their word. But yeah, I got pretty buzzed. I didn't realize it until I started to drive back, and then I could feel, oh, wow.
That's dangerous stuff. You know, college kids, they drink too much. Man, I can't imagine the debauchery that those guys were going to participate in after the girls got sloshed.
Skullduggery in the frat house.
All right, man, I'm going to jump out here. I think my show is supposed to come on tonight. I'm not sure, though. Thank goodness for the DVR. I don't know if I'm going to make it.
What show is that?
It's actually a cooking show. It's on, it's not Food Network. What's the other one?
The Food Network. Oh, I don't know. Doesn't that little, what's her name? Rachel Ray, doesn't she own the Food Network?
Does she? I didn't know that.
The Food Channel, I don't know, but she was on Oprah's show one day, and she said she was in New Orleans and she went to see Wolfgang Puck, and she got in and she said, can I sit in the main dining room? And the guy said no, and she said, do you know who I am? And he said, I don't care, you can't sit in there till 5 o'clock. And she said, well, can I borrow a piece of paper? She wrote a very nice letter to Mr. Wolfgang Puck, signed it Rachel Ray, and she says, you know, Oprah Winfrey owns all that cable stuff there, and she gave the Food Channel to Rachel Ray, and Rachel Ray allowed Wolfgang Puck to be on her channel, so she made it very clear who she was before she left.
Boy, I can imagine that. That's funny. I'll give my friend Wolfgang a call.
Did you ever see Animal House?
You know, I don't think I've actually seen the whole thing. I know, like, the premise and everything of college Greek week and fraternity stuff like that, but I don't know if I've ever actually seen it.
If with John Belushi, you got to see that. If there's nothing else, you got to see Animal House. It's supposed to be about the Beta Theta Pi fraternity at 581 Gailey in Westwood, but he's trying to pick up this this older MILF, and she's got a cucumber, and he's telling her mine's bigger, and she says, what? And he says, my cucumber's bigger than your cucumber. And then he says, would you like to come to a frat house party? And she says, I'm a little old. And he says, well, you'd fit right in. And he says, what's your name, my lovely lady? And she said, my name is Mrs. Wormer, Mrs. Dean Wormer. And he says, that's funny, but we have the head of our college is named Dean Wormer. And she says, that's funny, but my husband is the head of the college.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's a classic, man. That's a classic movie. I'd really never seen it, though. It's supposed to be pretty good. I mean, what year did that thing came out? Like late 70s, right?
Yeah, I think it was late 70s, sometime around their early 80s or something. But it's pretty funny. So she comes to the frat party drunk. She smashes into a car, and she gets out of the car with this like robe, and she's in her like negligee and stuff like that. And this kid takes advantage of her, and then they send pictures to Dean Wormer. And then after this whole thing is over, the college paper says Mrs. Wormer to vacation in France.
That's pretty funny.
If you can watch it on YouTube or something, it'd be worth watching. It's pretty funny. All right. Talk to you later.